Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live on 65 community radio stations countrywide with 3 million listeners across the country. This is the fourth episode brought to you by the Department of Justice. The first episode was on maintenance. The second one was on gender-based violence. And the third one on the sexual offences courts that have been rolled out and by the Department of Justice. This evening we're dealing with all issues related to gender-based violence and all issues affecting women and children in our country. And with me here I've got two Chris's, Criselda Canada and Crispin Piri. Criselda is my person I'm going to deal with. I'm the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Ronald Lamola. And Criselda, I was asking her of air, which surname.
And it's one of the challenges that most women face. For the men, life goes on. You move on with your life. For the woman, you have to go back, find lawyers, find a date within the justice system to get your identity back. So I am currently using a double barrel, which is something that I don't support. So it will be Criselda Dudumashe.
Criselda Canada. So do you mind telling the listeners what are the challenges that you have gone through in this process to get back what you believe is your original identity?
Well, when I first reported that I was violated, my human rights were violated physically by a person I entrusted with my emotions, with my safety as a husband, we got to a place where the differences are irreconcilable, wherein he physically abused me. And I laid a charge, and the system was just so tedious in just trying to get restorative justice, which many women deserve once you're violated in that manner. That you move from, I mean, the day when this happened, when the incident happened, we are at one of my aunt's homes, which makes it my home. And we disagree in how we communicate with one another. And I end up, out of nowhere, a person just snaps and says, "I'm sorry," thereafter. The beating was brutal. When I went to report the case, I went to the police. First, I was asked in a corridor in front of everyone what happened. That's one of when you need to then have a protection order because you feel that your rights have been violated and you are scared. You move from SEPS to a different department. There is no coordination. And it too is such a tedious exercise that I ended up coming back and asking that, can we just withdraw the case, because I just simply don't have the time to be moving from pillar to post just to get justice.
I'm emotional myself as you speak. I do get worried, but in my mind I'm surprised. Where do you get the strength to openly talk about such a sensitive issue? Because I will suspect that there are many women across the country who are suffering in silence because of the embarrassing episodes that you are talking about. But what made you have the strength to go to the police station while you have seen all the issues have gone through all the issues you are raising, but still proceeded to report, to explain, but also to come to a 3 million radio station listened across the country?
And I'm glad you bring this up, Minister, because a lot of women sit with the shame of having to account to families, because when people break down in their relationship, it's not just the two of them that breaks down. It is the society that has ensured that you form a family. It is, some of the ways in which communities will relate to you. As a woman, you are expected to, we have phrases like ukbekezela khotlela, that when you are a woman reporting physical abuse, you're seen as weak. I mean, I had, countless churches calling me to say, we need to just bring God into this. We need to pray about it, meaning that my interpretation of that is that I'm not prayerful enough as a woman, that I don't see it fit to save my marriage. Once again, you live with the shame. And it doesn't help that when I then decided to withdraw the case, because I felt I seriously do not have the time to be going up and down, but I can talk about it, hoping that as we talk about it, we create spaces for women who are to be victims of violence. We prevent this from happening.
Yeah,
so
maybe-
your question is, where do I find the strength? It's very difficult. I've been to hospital. I've been diagnosed with another chronic condition. I've been in debt, because when they walk away with their financial support as well. I'm actually in debt, because making a decision to walk away means even the financial support that you're exposed to is no longer coming forth. So why do I speak? Can you imagine if years ago, when people in this country, our heroes decided that it's enough with living under apartheid, and decided that we don't want to talk because we don't want to be seen as people who disturb peace, we wouldn't be where we are today. Today we have a government led by majority black people, simply because we can connect to our people's issues, and such programs are helping us to connect with issues on the ground. So what makes me speak? It is in knowing that there are women and men who came before me who sacrificed a lot for us to be able to have these conversations and make it better for humanity.
Maybe before we go to Crispin with the social media and the line, the last question I may want to ask, from the process that you have gone through, and I will suspect you might have also engaged with many women in the various talks that you have. What will be the suggestion so that the system is friendly to women who have suffered either gender-based violence or any form of abuse in any part of the country?
I truly believe that we need a system that would be more of a one-stop shop. When I go and report to the closest police station where the situation happened, I must be able to right there and then access social services in that same space. I must be able to access medical services in that space, because you go in there, you report the case, you're still required to complete some J88, I stand to be corrected, that form where you have to go to a medical doctor. And oftentimes, doctors charge private rates for them to complete that form. A woman in my stature, if I were to go to a public hospital and go and queue there just to get the form completed, it's further humiliating. And these are some of the things that are not considered in the system. And over and above that, when you're scared and you believe that you have been violated and you don't know when next this will happen, you need to go and get a protection order in a different office. It's tedious. It's a lot, especially for women who find themselves dependent on the perpetrator of the violence. That the system fails these women in that we need a one-stop shop where everything will be within reach, especially once you've plugged out courage to report and speak up.
Obviously, I've also heard from one of the TV personalities, I won't mention her name, raising almost the same issue. And even various women across the country, they also raise the issue with regard, if, for example, you are involved in a divorce matter, it does not end that you just go to get a protection order and so forth. It means you have to drive to an office of a family advocate.
Yeah.
You have to drive from there to another office of social workers.
And you must have funds.
Yeah, so I think I get the issue that you are raising, and I think it's a good insight for us as a department. Crispin, I'm not sure if there is anything for now, or we must proceed.
And let's proceed for now, Minister and Criselda. But our listeners can follow our hashtag on social media. It's called Let's Talk Justice. They can also call in on our toll-free number, which is 0800 314 446.
Maybe, Criselda, I want to also understand in terms of them, because of the patriarchal nature of our society, which is also entrenched in the manner our country has been organized under apartheid, but also certain practices are rooted in culture. What could be your view with regard to some of the cultural practices that might also entrench these patriarchal beliefs and norms in our society?
Look, what was so unfortunate for me is one of the first calls I received from my in-laws was a call from a matriarch, a woman who says, but kudala abafazi bebethwa. And that means, what's wrong with you when you can't unyamezele uvale ihlazo lomzi wakho? And I'm saying what is wrong with me, or what is right with me, is that I don't want to be one of the generations of abused women, and I don't want to okay this for my daughters. They need to know, and by daughters, I don't mean just biological daughters that I've birthed, but we as people who are in the public spotlight, young girls look up to us. And I cannot be that woman who's going to say it's okay ukunyamezela when you are mistreated, when you are violated, when your human rights are violated. And because of that, I truly believe that, the cultural intention of wanting to intervene and provide counsel, as we've done as African people, unfortunately has gotten to a place where a lot of women stay in abusive marriages and relationships. We are the generation that knows our rights. Unlike our mothers and their mothers, we are not going to sit back and stand for abuse. And if we don't name it what it is, even the notion of calling it gender-based violence, for me, I believe that it takes away what the issue is about. We need to phrase it what it is, that it's men beating up their female partners, or because when we call it what it is, our focus is then on what kind of men does that. Where do they come from? How are they raised? How are they socialized? And unfortunately, right now, the shame is more on the woman. To vala mahlazo, the woman to be at peace, the woman to forgive. I mean, one of the women who called me was saying that every Wednesday we come together to pray for the two of you. We're praying for you to find ways of forgiving him. And no one is focusing on what does the physical abuse mean to me. How has it harmed me as an individual? What is my interpretation of what just happened? One of the things that I always share is my grandmother came from an abusive environment, and she committed suicide, she was trying to reconcile, how does a person who says, I love you, also harm you? My mother became an alcoholic because she couldn't understand how does a person who says, I love you, harm you? And I'm not going to be that generation that says it's okay for my daughters. They stayed for whatever reason, and it ended up harming them. And I'm not going to stay to be harmed. And when I say this, Minister, I don't say this because I want the individual to be shamed by society. It's unfortunate how we respond to gender-based violence issues, because we don't consider that we come from a very violent past. We come from environments of fatherless societies, that our violent past is contributing in how people dissolve or resolve conflict.
I can say to the listeners, they can join us and call if they want to call at 0800 314 446, 0800 314 446.
In fact, Minister, we have a caller on the line from KZN, Sibonelo Shoba.
Sibonelo, Sawubona, or good evening. Sibonelo, good evening. Are you still on the line? Sibonelo, are you on the line?
Sibonelo is actually breathing.
Hello?
Sanibonani.
Yebo, sawubona. I'm with Criselda. You
Ya
can.
ngilayini baba.
Yebo, ngino Criselda la ungabuza umbuzo
Ngilalele
wakho.
baba ngikulayini baba.
Yebo, ungabuza umbuzo o into ofuna
Ya
ukuyisho.
sanibona lapho studio.
Sawubona baba Sibonelo.
Ya sanibona studio.
Yebo, sawubona babu Sibonelo. Ungabuza umbuzo wakho o usho into ofuna ukuyisho.
Okay ngithi mina akangibonga uhlelo lana ngilalela 32 FM. Ngithi ngibonga uhlelo lapho lumnandi uDadewethu wena ngiyamazi ngimbona ku Radio SA. UDadewethu she's a brave woman. I'm proud of her. Ngithanda ukuthi ngibe ukuthi lolu hlelo lumnandi kakhulu singamadoda kufanele silalele lolu hlelo ngokuthi sizokusukumeza abantu besifazane ngoba uDadewethu njengoba nje lapha estudio sisothe lapha estudio ekhuluma njena ekhuluma ngokuthi wena yini yakuyamethela udlule kubufa umzima ngimlalele kakhulu nanokuthi sifuneka sifunde mina ngumfundisi lapha ebandleni uzofuneka sifunde ukuthi mabe umuntu wesifazane esukumezekile ukwazi ukulalela udaba lwakhe singathi umuntu akahlale enkosini athi mhlawumbe umuntu egcina uzogcina umuntu esefa efele emshadweni wakhe kodwa manje angakwazi ukungenelela kahle ngendlela efanele. Ngicela ngibonga lolu hlelo uhlelo lwenu luyasakha kakhulu amadoda ukuthi siye kusukumeza abantu besifazane. Engathi uDadewethu njengoba lapho Nkosi yami akamsiza uNkulunkulu nabanye basizakala Nkosi abafana naye uDadewethu njengoba ikhuluma nje lapho ngoba ngiyamazi ngimbona lapha ku Radio SA ngiyamazi na Radio Metro ngiyamazi uDadewethu usibona lo akashobo okhulumayo
So Sibonelo nawe enkonzweni yabafundisa ngalolu daba. Ngathi Sibonela
but raising very important issues.
Can we also just quickly take Padco from Aliwal North?
Padco, welcome. Welcome, Padco. Are you on the line? Padco, welcome. Padco. It seems Padco is not is missing.
One of the characters you develop in broadcasting is patience.
Yeah, no, I can see.
Because technology will just decide to do otherwise. And I'm glad that Sibonelo calls representing Isonto because unfortunately Amasonto have become part of the problem. Wherein manizofika enkonzweni nithi akathandazelwe lo wesifazane uyena kufanele ukuthi athole usizo and singakhuzi because kubalekile ukuthi sikhuze sisho ukuthi thina especially umphathi wesilisa usho ukuthi mina njengomfundisi uSibonelo walenkonzo le angimsupport nje at all umuntu oshaya unkosikazi. This is what this church says about ukushaya abantu besifazane and create environments where see what is prevention sikwazi ukususa amabanga enza ukuthi abantu baze bafikelele ekushayeni abantu besifazane nezingane. And because right now umuntu olalele lo hlelo and saying ukuthi hey njengoba ngilalele kungiphathile kungithintile angifuni nami ukuthi ngiyenze lento wenza njani uyapi. Minister, it's an oversight because asinayo indlela yokunceda abantu abalalelayo and say ukuthi angifuni ukuthi mangabe ngike ngakwenza ukuthi ngingaphindi futhi and mangabe into engiyicabangayo ngiyakuphi ukuthi ngisizakale ngokwengqondo ukuthi ngingaze ngiviolate abantu besifazane.
Yeah, indeed. Lento njengoba uyisho ngezwe ukuthi akunamadoda asihlazisa lengaphandle and when you hear it sound like as you say that we just continue with our lives and the women then struggle because they are either left with kids, with debts and emotional issues.
Scars.
And and society when it look at it still wants to pray for you instead of condemning the men for the action. I think this is a context which you are bringing to the issue.
And I think the condemnation must be balanced with corrective measures because it's all good and well for us ukuthi sikubangele inkinga minister sibalahlele bonke in jail but it's another for us to say that this is how we then correct this behavior. What I found myself having to deal with was a breadwinner who looks after 5 families, a breadwinner who has children outside our marriage. So if I then say Guti justice has been served, and that means he has a criminal record, it means he won't be able to support his family. Why should that be placed on my shoulders as a woman who has been violated? So society needs to broaden the conversation, broaden it in such a way that we take away the shame in acknowledging that as South Africans, we need to move this notion of saying it's a crime of passion to saying it's a societal ill that we have to address.
It will be interesting to hear one or two men responding to some of the issues that are being raised. I'm not sure, Crispin, if there's anything from Twitter or Facebook or a call or anything.
We have Criselda from Omonde. Maybe he can respond to some of the questions that you have raised, Minister.
Criselda, welcome. Good evening.
Sanbonani.
Yebo, Sanbonani, ma'am.
Ninjani.
I know it's writing, Criselda.
Siyaphila, sis Criselda kunjani?
Ngiyaphila siswa mona.
Ngiyaphila. Igama lami nguKhawugelo Mujela.
Siyakuzwa, ungachubeka Khawugelo.
From Omonde.
Okay.
Yebo, Khawugelo.
I just want to say, abuse in all its form. It's bad. And I think maybe as young girls growing up, we tend to look up to our elders. Just like you mentioned earlier on. I'm from a background where we were born in a family of 10 children. I happen to be the only one out of the 10 to go through divorce, and I'm number 8. And I'm talking of a born-again child of God. So the stigma comes from all directions, from the family out into the society. And I'm also a professional teacher, so it was like all this. But you know what? The saying of, we are praying for you, things will be okay, I've been through that. By the time I decided to leave my ex-husband, my daughter was 1 year, 6 months. My son was 4.5 going for 5. We're talking at this point in time, I had to make a conscious decision and said, God, you are God, you love me as well. However, there is no human being who would be saying, I'm standing in between Khawugelo and God and things will go that way. I really said, God, if you are here, you hearing me now, I'm getting out of this before I get killed, before I commit suicide, before I do a whole lot of horrible things. I moved out consciously. I had to go back with only a 3-year teacher's diploma. I studied on a part-time basis. I raised up my 2 children. I wrote a book. The title of my book is Break Out, Break Loose, Break Free. So I'm saying, as women, yes, sometimes you tend to look at others, hey, what would people say? But who are you? We all are being created in the image of God. God loves us so much that he doesn't say your partner is equivalent to rule over you. If it cannot work, let it be so. I moved out amidst members of the church who were saying a lot of horrible, negative things. And it was at that stage where I thought, God, maybe I need to hear you more before I hear what the next person is saying.
If I may, Minister,
Yes.
One of the challenges that we face with church people, Christians...
I can't hear you.
Okay, no, it's fine. You can listen on the radio. Thank you very much for the call.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Criselda. Can we also just take Advocate Mudumisi from Johannesburg as well?
Advocate,
I think that
welcome.
would be Madumise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Advocate, welcome.
He's doing great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome.
Good evening, Minister and Ms. Dudumashe.
Good evening.
Good evening. Minister and Ms. Dudumashe, I just want to address 2 things and really focus on the summit that was held last year with the President and civil society. And out of that summit, we have a declaration that sets out what needs to happen with the 58 million South Africans, because gender-based violence is not a woman's issue, it's a societal problem. right? And we have
Yeah.
centered prevention as the biggest area that we all need to focus on.
Yeah.
But to Minister Lamola, we have written to you around the sexual harassment taking place at the SIU, and we have not received any response from your office.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I would just like to know, because prevention is at the center, and if all of us who are charged with the responsibility of changing the mindset and ridding our society of the scourge, then surely responses like those are important. We need to hear from those who are leaders of society to respond
When did
and
you
indicate
when did you
what
write
is
to
their
us?
intention and how they wish to deal with the problem.
When did you write to us?
It's 2 months ago, sir.
Okay, we'll
If
check.
you ask your chief of staff, Mr. Sirala, or something, we even went to your offices to literally hand deliver the letter ourselves.
Okay, no, it's fine. We'll follow up on that one.
How long, Mr. I mean, it has taken us 2 months to receive a response from yourself, and we'll just need to know how long it's going to take again, because, I mean, we are now at a point where we're looking at other alternatives to actually force people to respond to the crisis, because it is a crisis that women continue to suffer at the hands of those who are in power and those who are their bosses. It can't continue unabated.
Yeah, no, we'll follow up within a week and understand what are the issues.
I can't hear you, sir.
We'll follow up within a
saying,
week.
I think we
will
do
follow up
have
within a week.
The week is over, Minister. It's Friday tomorrow.
But I'm saying within a week. I thought you will understand. It means by next week, Friday or so. I know that obviously if it's tomorrow, it's not even a week. It's hours now.
Okay, we also have Meneer Titus from Uppington, and he possibly might be an Afrikaans speaker, but let's hear from our team. Titus, are you there? Hello, Titus.
Minister.
Yes, evening. Titus.
Ek het 'n vraag vir die minister. Minister, ons is in die Noord-Kaap in Appington en ons het die afgelope tyd het ons baie gevalle gehad waar vrouens slagoffer geval het van geweld. Ons weet ook dat ons vrouens kry wat in verhoudings sit waar hulle mishandel word. En hulle wil nie uitkom nie omdat hulle bang is vir die justisiestelsel, want hulle sê in die hof word hulle so geondervra dat hulle later voel asof hulle aan die verkeerde kant was. Watter metodes en faktore het die hof in plek om seker te maak dat vrouens die system kan vertrou en dat slagoffers of dat misdadigers wat hulle skuldig maak aan die moord en die mishandeling, want ons het baie gevalle gehad waar ons het die jongste geval is 'n 14-jarige meisiekind vermoor. Ons wil weet wat is die system? Wat kan justisie vir ons doen om mense af te skrik, want mense gaan net aan om geweld teen vroue te pleeg en niks gebeur nie. Môre kom jy ou uit op borg en hy gaan net aan asof dit niks is nie. Wat is daar wat kan verseker dat ons vrouens kan uitkom en sê, maar ek is in 'n verhouding waarin ek mishandel word en ek wil nou die system vertrou om vir my te help.
Baie dankie, Titus.
Thank you. It seems Criselda does understand Afrikaans, so she will
And I guess,
respond.
from Titus, I mean, most of what he's asking are things that we've already spoken to, but wanting a definite response to what is in place in ensuring that when women go, plug up the courage and go and report, that they don't get to feel like they're being violated once again, where the system puts them on the pedestal, that you end up feeling like, you are once again a victim, and now the victim of the system, because there are women who go out and report but don't feel like justice is on their side. And I do stand corrected. Unfortunately, Titus, our Afrikaans is minimal, and I'm hoping that someone has captured this question, because I'm told that this show is every Thursday, that we come back and respond to you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Criselda, for that interpretation. It's also helpful to me. At least I could clean what you're saying. I could hear some few Afrikaans words, but hopefully that's what the Titus was asking. And we are in the process of looking at our system to modernize them in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act to be victim-centered, because you will know the Criminal Procedure Act is a 1977 law which was aimed at just taking someone from the streets and put them into our cells, but it did not have a focus on the victims.
Exactly.
The victims of the offense were not that central. The only role they play is to come, be witness, then it ends
because
there.
Right now they are left isolated, disempowered, frustrated, and shamed.
Yeah,
and that has to change.
So that's the reason we're looking at how do we then modernize the Criminal Procedure Act to be in line with the current constitution of our democracy, for it to reflect those constitutional ethos, the victim-centric aspect, so that even victims, they don't just feel like their role is just to give evidence, but they are playing a role in the administration of justice as a whole, correction, and also them feeling that indeed justice was served.
And I guess, Minister, and also balancing this recognition that once the person that you're dependent on financially, psychologically, and otherwise violates you and you walk away, the support that you receive from him goes with him. So what do we have in place to support these women? If I were to decide I am a mother of 2 children, that I'm walking away from this abusive relationship, this abusive environment, and I'm glad that Advocate Madumisa also brings an issue of sexual violations within the workplace. That there's just way too many of these cases, one that go unreported, and ones that are reported, the woman gets to be the one who's shamed. And how do we then, in your response, we need to also find ways of supporting these women, strengthen them coming out and speaking up about sexual violations, but also create an environment where women themselves are empowered in knowing that when I speak about my issue, I don't speak about it to shame you, and it can be correct that because I speak up, therefore I must be a victim of opinions.
Yeah, no, that is very true. And I think it goes to the issues of patriarchy in our society, where it has almost cemented the masculine of men, not only in terms of their physical appearance, but also in terms of the issues you are raising of the finance and so forth. And that is the reason why we have also looked at the Customary Marriages Act, which did not allow the women who were married customarily before 1998 to inherit some of the properties that they will have accumulated. And I think those are some of the issues that they've have cemented the position of the financial position of a man in our society, but also it psychologically also goes to to put a man in a more position which gives him an advantage over a woman. So those are issues that, as we engage and develop systems, it's something which we are considerate to.
To add on your list, Minister, someone should consider the fact that there are men who openly go out and decide to resign from work so that they don't support their children. And some would seek support from the woman who's employed when she decides to walk away. We have a case of a very famous person who is wanting to have access to funds of a house that was built by a woman. So in doing this, somehow there needs to be a concerted effort to also build character amongst men, to man up. And I'm using the phrase manning up quite loosely, but we need to have role models, men that are going to be socialized in a way that in being a leader, that doesn't mean that you must be abusive.
Yeah, no, Chris, do we have any caller or WhatsApp or anything?
We have Nozugo from Pretoria. Then immediately after that, we'll take Patko from Aluel North.
Hello.
Hello, Nozugo, welcome.
Oh, good evening, Minister. Good evening to Sis Criselda.
Good
Evening.
evening, Nozuko.
It's Nozuko in Pretoria.
Yes.
I'm a victim as well to physical abuse, but I'm one of those brave ones and lucky ones who came out alive. And my husband has been abusive since we got married. But I thank God because God gave me the strength and the courage, and I can agree with Criselda when she says the church judge, the people are very judgmental, and the people will Bible bash you as if you actually don't pray to the same God that they believe and they pray to. The society has that understanding that it's a woman. It's more like you made him angry. And secondly, the justice system. When you walk through those court war rooms, you feel very humiliated. So it takes a lot of courage to stand up and report the case. And then you go through the justice system that doesn't support you as a woman. I've come through very victoriously. I even went through maintenance court and all of that. But it's not every woman who's got that courage. And other people don't even come out alive from that relationship. So I thank God because it means you also have to have that support. The first thing that the perpetrator is going to do is going to isolate you and victimize you and doesn't want anyone else to be associated with you. So my advice to women is that you need to utilize the support structure you have. You don't have to tell everyone, but there's someone who's going to be willing to listen to you. And sometimes people want to give you answers. You don't necessarily need answers, but friends must just be sensitive to your situation and understand that you don't want someone to tell you what to do. And you don't want someone, when you've told them your decision, to judge you. I've lost friends because now I've decided to come out of that environment. I said it's enough. Abuse was not enough. There was also extramarital affair. There's a child in this whole process. I said enough is enough. And one of my friends, I can see he's very judgmental. So, but I'm saying to the women out there, it's not over. Your worth is drawn all the way, dragged in the mud, and your dignity, but you can still rise up. I'm a professional teacher, but I told myself I'm learned and I'm educated. I can support myself, and God will make a plan and a way for me and my children. I'm out of that relationship. I'm going through divorce. It's still emotional, but God has been faithful. God will always be with you. People will judge you, but God will never leave you or forsake you. Thank you, Auntie Criselda. Thank you, Minister. God bless
So
you.
imagine what happens, Minister, to that woman, who has been beaten for many years and decides, I want to walk out of this, when the house is owned by him. And oftentimes they even control even social grants. That he's got access to your social grant that you don't have any financial means, and I guess over and above what the Department of Justice and Correctional Services is providing as support and obviously open for improvement, we also need to create a caring society that will walk away from uttering statements like you are going to be the cause of your children growing up without their father. It's placing an unnecessary burden on the victim, that is the woman.
Yeah, no, it's an eye-opener what most of the women are calling to raise here. It's issues that are real in our society, and it's issues that society needs to be awoken to and act in a concerted effort. In as you said that, I think it's Dudumashe who said that it should be a preventative measure approach. And there's an issue that the whole society embraces to attend to. So
Advocate Madumisa is one of the leading individuals on the total shutdown and doing incredible work in supporting women.
Chris, do you have any further calls?
Yes, we have Patko from Aliwal North.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Patko, are you back now?
Yes, ndibuyile bakumphathiswa ndiyabulisa kwicala lakho.
Siyabulisa
ndibulisa nomama uCriselda.
Molo.
Okokuqala ndifuna ukuthi ndimphakamisele isandla umama uCriselda ukuthi abe bold eze ngaphambilini. Bambalwa abantu abangomama abakwazi ukuthi beze ngaphambilini bazothetha ngenhlungu yabo. Ithi xa bethetha ngenhlungu yabo kuthiwa no, masiyekeni lento lena mayiphelele apha ekhayeni. Ufumana ukuthi at the end of the day ngoku ilonto ufumana ukuthi inani lokuhlukunyezwa kwabantu abangomama liyanyuka daily. So ke ndimphakamisela isandla umama Criselda Louis. And then umbuzo wami ngilini imibuzo yami actually. Umbuzo wami uqala benifuna ukuqonda kumama Criselda ukuba since ngimthatha iambassador mina ke ngokwelami icala ukuthi aphumele ubala eze azothetha ngenhlungu yomama. Ingaba bayakwazi ukuthi batyelele kwezithuthuzela care center apho kukhona the victims eze i-abuse i-gender based violence banokuhlukunyezwa kwabantwana bayakwazi ukuthi baya kwithuthuzela care center at least bakwazi ukuthi bamotivate abanye bomama ukuba if uyahlukunyezwa umama endlini akaphume eze ngaphambilini and then ayichaze imbilini yakhe so that akwazi ukuba uya-assistwa. Umbuzo wami wesibini ngifuna ukuqonda ukuba
issues which we will have to look into very closely and see how we can enable we can use technology to resolve some of the issues that are being raised in terms of integration.
One of the issues that were raised as well is the availability of rape kits. I know that it's a matter that speaks more to SEPs, but it then informs how one then gets exposed to justice, because without evidence, then you will not get justice being served.
Yeah, no, that is true.
Minister Criselda, we have Ntombikaise from Rockville on the line, and I think this might be our last caller, or maybe there'll be more still calling in.
Ntombikaise, welcome.
Hello, Papa Ninjan.
It's right.
I'm Nazathetha okanye ngizawukhuluma.
Siphilile njani Ntombikaise?
Siyaphila mama, ngi proud of you mama on a woman's month and on a woman's month yethu ukuba ube nesibindi singaka ube nothemba lokuba uzuzothetha uthethe ngento ohlangabezana nayo. So there are many women who are abused, but they bayifihla bafuna ukuthetha ngayo. So my problem is my sister the husband they are married for more than 13 years now, but the husband started cheating and hamba engamxeleli ne. Then the next thing like akambethi but umbetha ngamazwi abuse ngamazwi,
emotional abuse.
So my sister need a lot of support. So as families mina ngicela ukuba thina as amakhosikazi sisupportane kakhulu, because ama families ethu are so secretive abakhona ukuthi bayikhiphe out kithi baba another that secret ukuthi sizathi why kwenzakaleni uyabona. So ngizothanda ukuthi wena as a woman uba uplift kakhulu sisi, that thing oyikhulumayo is happening, and then abantu bahleli kuyo bacinga ukuba yonke into izawuba right, and at the end umuntu ofayo lo muntu aqhubeke ngelife ezoshila ukuthi uyaqhubeka yena abone ukuthi akhonto problem kuye uyabona.
Siyabonga kakhulu Ntombikaise.
Ntombikaise sibonga kakhulu, strengthen this woman amakhosikazi asukume, and then uba motivate all the time, and uNkulunkulu abe nawe mama. Because siyazi umama zala wakhe wathi naye njengoba usho ukuthi bathi thandaza, yebo siyathandaza uNkulunkulu mara uthi uNkulunkulu kumele ube wise yabona.
uNkulunkulu nathi uyasithanda,
uyibona ukuba awukho happy unomuntu umosha nengqondo yakho yabona, wena wena so ufile yena ephila.
Can we also take Somisa from Kharpo?
Somisa, you're welcome.
Good evening, Minister.
Good evening.
Your voice is very soft, and good evening to Criselda.
Good evening.
I'm calling from Kharpo in the Western Cape. I'm listening to Elgin FM. Now, my question is, Tinane, as the young generation or the mid women, the youth women, we understand, we've got information sometimes about these things that are happening, gender abuse, women abuse. But now my issue is like, this is Criselda, I think she mentioned something about Uma Zalawake or a family member, she will call and complain. and then uzothi nyamezela yaba kwenza njalo emzini. So for bona omama bethu omakhulu bethu they've been also through these things, yabo, the abuse, but bona abeze ngaphambili. So mna i-question yami ukuthi bona abantu abadala abangomama abangena information, abangena knowledge ukuthi baya abuse ngabadamkhulu, baya abuse ngabadada, but na otata bethu, but now they don't come forward to say this is what is happening. Bahleli phezu kwezinto ukuthi bahleli phezu kwamanyala eGesxhosa, yebo. So zikhona na plans that maybe the department or awareness is to go to as mostly rural areas, yebo. Because I'm also Ikrabo, it's a rural farm area whereby ukhona babantu, they don't have knowledge, they don't know what to do because badala abana information, abana knowledge. As much as banathi, it's difficult sometimes to go front xa kusenzeke izinto abuse. Ikhona namhlambi awareness or any plans that zikhona for ke abantu badala bangomama, because really they need to be educated, because mna xa nizayo emzini nami ndithi ndiyabethwa uyayibona kwenzeke oku, but nazela bami uzothi hlala unyamezela because una knowledge ukuthi kuyanyamezelwa emzini.
Yeah, i-department inawo ama-awareness program ngendaba eziningi, ama-program amaningi esinawo. Ngiyathemba naleyo sizoyibheka ukuthi singayifaka kanjani ukuthi
abomama minister.
Okay. Yeah, i-department inawo ama-program amaningi arana ama-awareness endabeni eziningi. Ngiyathemba naleyo singayibheka ukuthi singayifaka kanjani ukuthi omama abadala who obviously you are saying have gone through this program,
still are going through,
or are
abuse.
still going through, kodwa abayivezi, and it has an effect on those who are younger, who are coming up and so forth. Ngiyathemba indaba lesingayithatha siyise phambili nale erezwe before usomizi ngendaba yokuthandazelwa and so forth. Ngiyathemba maybe in the next episodes maybe you must also look into engaging some of the pastors, because I think it's an issue that our churches can also play a very important role. Guyo.
Because how do you provide as evidence that you are being emotionally abused? Because you don't have a scar, there is no blood oozing, and all that links to you accessing justice is completing that J88 form, which you take to a medical doctor, not even a psychologist. And I mean, there are so many. It's a pity, Minister, that in hour is just so minimal on air, and you get to discover this once you start having these conversations. But as for what it is that I would do to continue strengthening women, I continue. I'm found at Positive GP on all social media platforms. Criselda Dudumashe being my name, that unfortunately I soon have to change as well on Facebook, and I continue, providing the support that I can for women of South Africa, women of the world, for that matter.
Yeah, Chris, I'm not sure if you still have anything, or our time is up now.
No, you are in high demand, Minister. You have two callers, Silo from Potchefstroom, and then immediately after that we'll take Aseri from Pretoria.
Evening, Silo. Evening, Silo. You are on air. Evening, Silo.
Silo has to turn down his radio set, otherwise you get feedback.
Silo.
Oh, Silo.
Oh, Silo,
Samabandla.
Yeah. Yes, you are welcome. You are welcome.
Yes, you are welcome.
Yeah.
Silo has the radio set on.
Yeah, Silo, switch off your radio. Yeah, no, we really can't hear anything from Silo. We tried. Do we have any other person? Yeah, you can go. You can go. Yeah, you're welcome. You can speak.
You
are on air. You are on air. You are on air. Oh, okay.
We have Aseri from Mami Lodi on the line.
Aseri, you're welcome.
Yes.
yazi into ebifuneka baba intoni
Yeah.
kwenze i-truth commission yoba amadoda akwazi abuye azocela ixolo ebafazini
Yeah.
Eke ndiyamthanda uTata uSilo.
Yeah.
amadoda aye abhize kakhulu abafazi ne even ngoku
So uthi ufuna yenziwe kanjani?
like baba bawuyaqwalasela ngoku abafazi basabethwa nangoku and amadoda imali ze-maintenance akazikhuphi but ayakwazi uthenga unonjanga phaa utshwala asele xa indoda inemali for u-DSTV iye ithi xa ithethayo hayi anamali xa ithi incinci laa mali inintsi laa mali yobhatala u-DSTV but xa izawubhatala i-maintenance ithi yho inintsi laa mali kodwa ithi incinci xa izawuthenga utshwala laa mali ithi ayinamali. So zonke ezi zinto ziyafuna ukuthi abizwe amadoda ohlale phansi kwenzela nje laa nto acele ixolo wonke amadoda engayanga indoda ifakwe ejele. Nani ningene doti to apha esifemini nibuze ukuthi uyayibhatala na i-maintenance ngoba maninzi amadoda angonjilwa abaphandle apha. Enkosi mhlekazi.
No, sikuzwile.
But we are born again, Minister, what's coming out. You and I can sit here and many activists can also echo sentiments and we talk the language of gender-based violence. These are lived experiences. It has stopped being, a passion of crime to a societal ill. And in the societal ill, we need to begin to look at how we raise our sons. What informs their narrative? Why do they opt for violence as opposed to engaging? Where do they learn that from? And create spaces. And I'm loving what Advocate Matumisa said. Create spaces of rehabilitation, of preventative methods in order for even the said to be perpetrator changes before they even start.
Now that is true. It is clear that the methods of prevention is what we need, and various methods that will ensure that men understand that they are inflicting pain not only on women but on society as a whole.
We have one more from Sipo, and then there's also a question that I've received on WhatsApp. I'll be able to share it after Sipo asks his question.
Sipo, you are welcome.
Yeah, when is John Ba?
Sikhona, ungachubeka.
Khona. Usho ngendaba yesikhathi nje manje into bengifuna ukuyisho mina the way ngilalele ngakhona na the way ngazi ngakhona yabo.
Yeah.
Usho ukuthi into esikostela i-trouble kakhulu ne mangibheka. Uyabona i-democracy neBhayibheli asihambelani yabo. Khona abanye abantu abakholelwa eBhayibhelini abanye bakholelwa ku-democracy. You understand?
Zi-affecta kanjani le ndaba esikhuluma ngayo?
Man ngoba yabona iBhayibheli mawulifunda khona enye bathini ukuthi mina ngilazi kahle mara sinenye incwadi kaTimothy neTimothy ngayibhala phansi nje ngoba yabona namanje
ya no isikhathi sethi sesishiyile uSipho uthatha indlela eningi ukuyendabeni so siyabonga kakhulu bonke abantu abaparticipateile sizwile into eziningi isociety yethu kufanele ibambane yonke ukulwa nalendaba ye-gender based violence esibhekene nayo eyinkinga enkulu kumphakathi wonke ne-society yase South Africa yonke.
Yes, Minister, before we wrap up, Asirin Ndlovu from Capital Live in Mamelodi is wanting to know, how do we deal with gender-based violence, especially in the workplace? And then he's given us an example. He says, let's say when a man hires a woman as a domestic worker and ends up abusing her, when she stands up, she then also gets victimized by police. What is the recourse in that regard?
Yeah, I think it's almost the same issues that Criselda has raised earlier on, which is goes to masculinity and also issues of finance and abuse men thinking that because you have employed her as a domestic worker, then you can do anything. So obviously such issues the police and the justice system needs to come in. But also the support, as Criselda was speaking about, that the reality is that the woman also needs a job. How do you give that support? I think those are issues that we'll have to, for further engagement going forward in society. How do we deal with the empowerment of women as a central point to deal with the patriarchy?
And also, how do we strengthen women to identify their power as partners in addressing this? I go back to that notion of raising young men not to connect to their emotions and say tigers don't cry. How do we protect our sons from experiencing their mothers being beaten up, and they grow up believing that that's the norm, and that's how you are supposed. They say umfazi uyaqeqeshwa, and these are some of the societal misnomers that we have to unlearn, and it's going to take programs like these in speaking up. And if I may, Minister, if I can just read, I know that there are a lot of messages that came through, but I think this also just closes this conversation nicely. Lady Lola Lane, this is a Twitter handle, saying, I can relate to all this that has been raised. It happened this past weekend, and then you are given a form to take to the doctor, and when you complete it, the form on its own is actual assault. Very disheartening, and this is a disheartening experience of women.
Thank you, Criselda, for coming up and being courageous. And let's hope many women across the country will have the same courage. And men must also play their role on this matter. It's not just a women's issue. Yeah. Let's meet again next week, same time, with another exciting program brought to you by the Department of Justice. Let's Talk Justice. Thank you.